Hello, this is from Caracas. I'm Ray Gomez. What is South-South cooperation and how does Venezuela cooperate with the rest of the world? On this, I will talk with Hernan Herrera, an international analyst. Hello, how are you, Mr. Herrera?
I'm fine. You?
Thank you very much. When and why does the South-South cooperation philosophy arise?
Well, this cooperation came to the world based on the necessities of different countries to cooperate between themselves in a same position.
Okay.
The basic necessities, interchange of technologies, knowledge, and experience to help all the population, not just part of it.
Oh, very interesting. Is South-South cooperation performed only among isolated countries or also among regional institutions?
It's not only about countries.
Okay.
It takes place in anywhere. You can cooperate between institutions, between places, between regions and places in here. It takes place anywhere. And
is it only based, between government to government, or also non-governmental institutions?
You can incorporate even private corporations. That depends in the vision of the country and their necessities. So you can incorporate governments and also private corporations.
Very interesting. So in the case of Venezuela, when did the South-South cooperation begin and why?
It begins with the rise of the revolutions. And
you mean from 1999?
About 2002.
Okay.
With the creation of the ALBA and different forums and reunions and meetings and some summits, we began to incorporate this kind of cooperations, South-South with Africa, with the Caribbean, and with all our continent, of course, because of the near situation we have in here.
Okay. So you said it has been put into practice in Venezuela since 2002. A very particular year, remembering the coup against Hugo Chavez. Was President Chavez the ideologist of this philosophy here in Venezuela? I mean, the South-South cooperation in Venezuela?
Yes.
How did Mr. President Hugo Chavez participate in the development of this cooperation?
It's not a secret that the President Hugo Chavez and also the leader revolution of the Cuban Revolution, Fidel Castro, developed whole the ALBA plan. And they, after a few years of reunions, they create whole the mechanism of cooperation based on solidarity.
For the people who are watching us now, to understand us better, what does ALBA mean?
ALBA is Bolivarian alternative of corporations that is based in Latin America, but that is based on solidarity and complementarity. That's the base, and we treat our partners as brother.
Oh, okay.
We are not.
So you mean that the money is not that important in this cooperation?
No, that's the last thing we take care. We take care about the real necessities of the people.
I mean, social necessities.
Social necessities, that's it.
Interesting. So you said it has been born in Venezuela, I mean South-South cooperation, since 2002. During the Bolivarian Revolution. So up to date, how has it been developed?
Well, we have worked with a lot of countries, not just Cuba, Nicaragua, or Bolivia.
I mean, the ALBA members.
That's it. We're also working with the Caribbean, with other countries in the South, Central America, even with North America, in some particular cases, we took place over there and help people there, like hurricanes or natural disasters.
Speaking on Caribbean, let's talk about Petrocaribe, a regional mechanism led by Venezuela, by the way, under the philosophy of South-South cooperation. Why was Petrocaribe created? Who created Petrocaribe and why?
The Caribbean was, they were forgotten states for the war. And President Chavez has this vision, and so the Caribbean has his own way to make things, and they are important. They produce things, they buy things, so we can make an interchange, a better interchange. So the Petro-Caribbean was created with the philosophy of brother, to see the necessities of that island, different island, and notice that we have a lot of oil and some other resources.
Is it based on the oil industry? I mean, on PDVSA, in the case of Venezuela?
It's the most of the part, but
it's basically based on the oil production.
But has another other stuff
such as
music, culture, studies, and we have a lot of areas that we're working with the Petro-Caribbean countries.
Would you please mention an example in a particular country?
In Jamaica, we have cultural studies that the symphonical system here travel over there and teach their children freely, for free. And also they have a joint musicals. They have been presenting in different events that the President Nicolas Maduro was there when he was there at the bicentennial year of the Jamaican letter. They present the two orchestras together.
Very interesting. You have mentioned the name of President Nicolas Maduro. Does that mean that President Nicolas Maduro continued President Hugo Chávez's philosophy on South-South cooperation by means of Petrocaribe, for instance?
Yes, we're trying to continue this legacy and continue this work, and even to make it grow and make it to advance in different areas. We are trying to the last year we signed some agreements with Trinidad and Tobago.
Trinidad and Tobago.
To import foods from there, and also to create a pipeline to both islands.
And after the hurricanes that seriously affected some islands in the Caribbean, how have been Petrocaribe acting in order to solve the problems, the socio-economic problems that can be living people in the Caribbean nowadays after hurricanes Irma and Maria?
After Hurricane Irma, the Prime Minister Gaston Brown don't hesitate to call to Venezuelan authorities, because
he's a very close friend of the Bolivarian Revolution.
Yes, of course, and he was very sure that he was going to get the help he needs from Venezuela. That's why Venezuela was the first place the first country to get there, and not only with supplies, but also with rescuers and the firefighters, paramedics. A lot of people went there to help Antigua and Barbuda, particularly.
Mainly in Bermuda.
Mainly
Bermuda Island. Okay. How much has South America and the Caribbean region been developed thanks to Petrocaribe? You have mentioned the islands of the Caribbean, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Lucia, Jamaica, but the rest of the region has also been benefited from Petrocaribe and ALBA.
Yes, we have some kind of agreements and understand it that creates even employees, youth employees offers with the help of Venezuela.
Okay.
Venezuela helped these countries with money, with oil, and we get some food or other kind of products from there. It's not for free, like people say. We get paid for that. But
and there is a collaboration.
Of course, there is collaboration and cooperation based on solidarity and interchange of experience and necessities. That's what base PetroCaribe.
And what plans does PetroCaribe have from now on?
We're really talking with the different ambassadors in the PetroCaribbean countries, and we're planning to grow the musical plans, the cultural plans. Now this year we're getting some offers of language studies.
Ah, interesting.
So
I mean, for people from Venezuela to learn English, for instance.
English, basically English. That's for free from them.
Yes?
Yeah.
Very interesting, very interesting. Mercosur, meant to be another South-South cooperation institution. But what happened with the virtual departure of Venezuela from this group we're talking about?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Venezuela developed with Brazil and Argentina a new vision of Mercosur, a social vision of Mercosur.
Since 2012, I remember.
Yes, and also create a Mercosur Indígena.
Indigenous Mercosur.
To the indigenous people, and create the first rapping summit in the Mercosur. The virtual departure of Venezuela from this group is basically to left behind the social part of this group. I know that Mercosur is based on economics, and
they don't care about social agreements.
Yes, they try to don't have borders and interchange just merchandise. But the departure of Venezuela is just mean that's what it means. They were gonna leave behind all the social part of this group.
Was that the reason why the other members from Mercosur, mainly the new Brazilian government, the new Argentinian government, wanted to ban Venezuela from the Mercosur?
That wasn't an economic decision. That was a political decision to pull apart Venezuela.
Okay. What about the UNASUR and SELAC? I mean, are they South-South cooperation mechanisms too?
Yeah, they also South-South cooperation, but they're more like a conversation groups. They have a defense group in UNASUR. They're really strong and really developed right now. All the defense ministers have joined different occasions.
You're right.
And have created a very strong base on this kind of cooperation. But there is a lack of cooperation in other areas.
Such as?
Political is one of the economics. It's very difficult to try to understand the political vision that we have right now in all South America.
Yes. It is a big battle for Venezuela to carry on.
Yes, it is.
When we speak on South-South cooperation, do we only refer to cooperation among countries of the southern hemisphere, or can we speak on the cooperation among countries from different hemispheres? I mean, is South, the concept of South, more philosophical and political than geographical? I'm asking you this because some minutes ago you were speaking on the cooperation between Venezuela and the United States, for instance, or North America.
It's more philosophical themes, political, because we have cooperation, South-South cooperation with Vietnam and India.
Oh, really?
We have cooperation with North Korea, with Belarus. So we have cooperation.
What is that kind of cooperation based?
Solidarity is the most. We have merchandise offers from everywhere, but the solidarity, the political connections that we made in different countries, like in Asia, in Vietnam, in China, or in India, is what make difference. Make the difference to buy from India and not to buy from Europe, for instance.
So taking this into consideration, how are the ties of cooperation between Venezuela and growing economies like China and Russia?
No, that's very easy to answer, because we are strategic friends, strategic partners in very, very different areas, in defense, economics, construction, infrastructure, culture. We have all the areas covered by these particular partners, Russia and China. And as we know, the last few days, the United States have been accusing Russia to try to cover all the countries in Latin America.
Yeah, not only Russia, but also China.
Also China. That's the vision that they have seen these growing economies taking place in different countries around the world.
So is the U.S. administration a potential threat to this kind of cooperation between Venezuela and China and Russia?
Yes, it is, of course. Right now, we are acting like nothing has happened, but we are very close from an invasion that is discussed in different speeches from the U.S. authority. So to be friend of a big country like Russia and to be planning naval practices, joint practices with the army, the different armies, is a threat to the United States.
But do you think that China and Russia are considered as a threat for the United States of America? What does the United States is afraid of?
They are afraid to
those countries.
They are afraid to lose the oil reserve we have here, the resources we have here, water, the geographical strategical position, oil, basically oil.
Is that one of the main reasons, why the United States is blocking Venezuela from different issues?
Yes, it's blocking not only in economics. We have a lot of defense enclaves, defense keys in Colombia, Peru, Chile, and also in the Caribbean, in Panama.
Yeah.
So we're
naval bases in those countries.
Bases. So the block, all the acting of the United States is very clear. Who doesn't want to see it? It's very clear. You have to be blind to avoid to look at that.
So what do the Venezuela and Venezuela's friends, governments, countries, should do in order to avoid those threats coming from the United States of America?
I think it's not to avoid the action to take. It's to
face them.
To face them and to go through them to this
Because President Nicolás Maduro has repeatedly said, for instance, we are not against the people from the United States. We are against the policies that are coming from the United States, which is very different from that.
We don't have anything to complain about the people. It's a good people. The people always is good. The policies and the different actions that they take, so sanctions. You are not sanctioning the people of Venezuela, the government of Venezuela. You are sanctioning the people.
Yes, you're right.
Because all the resources that came to Venezuela, the government taking to make houses, to build houses, to make health better. So you are not sanctioning the government, you're sanctioning the people in Venezuela.
Even the Venezuelan government is still helping people who are living in the territory of the United States.
Yes.
I mean, in New York.
With the last natural disaster, we through Citgo, help people that were affected and also the rescuers with free gas, and also gave about $3 million.
You're right.
In different supplies. So I don't understand this kind of acting on policies taken by the United States.
So at the end of the day, what should Venezuela do in order to live as a sovereign country, as a sovereign government, in spite of those sanctions, in spite of those threats coming from the United States?
To take the decisions like the creation of the petro, that's one of the solutions we have. That's to avoid the centralization of the different banks around the world. There is always a solution, and working together is that we are going to seek and find the solutions.
Well, thank you very much for participating in our show.
Thank you to you. Thanks to you for the invitation.
Hernan Herrera, an international analyst, has been speaking with us on the South-South cooperation and how Venezuela cooperates with other countries. This is from Caracas. I'm Ray Gomez. Thank you for joining us.